We knew coming into today's game that the New England Patriots and Pittsburgh Steelers were going to have a defensive showdown that included turnovers, sacks, and any positive defensive play possible. What I think wasn't really expected was that the Steelers were basically going to get all of those plays. The New England Patriots on Sunday were sacked 5 times, or I guess I should say they allowed 5 sacks on Drake Maye. May had an interception. The Patriots fumbled the ball 4 total times, including twice from Rodgers Stevenson, once on the opening drive of the game, and once on a play where he was really close to getting into the end zone. And even after the Patriots made plays to defensively try to win the game, Robert Spillane had 15 total tackles and he had a interception. Um, they still come up 7 points short and find themselves now 0-2 at home. They are 1-2 overall, with their only win coming against Miami, and they really have not been able to match even average performances from the opposition's offense. In week 1, it was against the Raiders where they were outscored by 7 points, and today was the same case, outscored by 7 points when the Raiders scored only 20. In week 1, the Steelers scored only 21 today. And you really got to think those 5 turnovers, at least one of them, Ramondre Stevenson's fumble, basically half a yard before the score. Like, that's 6 or 7 points right there, and could have easily been the touchdown that separated this game. And so going forward, Pittsburgh, they had some really good, cool records to get today. Aaron Rodgers goes into 4th all-time in terms of passing touchdowns. He added another one later in the game to Calvin Austin to basically be the game-winning score. Offensively, running the ball was really not a strong suit. And you could almost say that Pittsburgh was maybe a few yards from losing this game. I already mentioned the Ramondre Stevenson fumble that was half a yard away from being a touchdown. But also, Jonnu Smith lost a fumble. I shouldn't say lost the fumble, because even though Craig Woodson recovered it, his knee was half a yard out of bounds when he recovered it. So it stayed Pittsburgh ball. But this is just kind of, I think, how Pittsburgh is going to win games. There's going to be a few scores up from the offense, and there's going to be virtually nothing allowed by the defense. They're going to get after the quarterback. They're going to force fumbles, force interceptions, and play just good enough. At least right now, that seems like they're going to be doing, is play just good enough on offense to get a win and to hopefully make their way through a playoff run and see how far they can take this thing. I mentioned Robert Spillane earlier for the Patriots. Outside of him, there wasn't really a crazy defensive performance. It was pretty much him with his 15 tackles and his interception. Like I said, Craig Woodson came really close to picking up a fumble. But other than that, the guys you want to highlight for the Patriots are on the offensive side of the ball. Hunter Henry, 8 catches for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think Drake Maye still had a decent game, even though he has the 2 turnovers. He has over 260 yards passing and 2 touchdowns on 28 of 37 attempts. And again, it was a decent performance. It was definitely nothing great when you have 2 turnovers. But it was a decent performance for a really young quarterback with still, I don't think, a true number 1 option really exposing themselves on the field. Stephon Diggs was brought in to be that, but 3 receptions for 23 yards today. Overall, Stephon Diggs has 13 catches for 112 yards on the year. So it's definitely not, I mean, you average 34 yards a game. It's not a crazy performance to start the year from Stephon Diggs. He still hasn't gotten in the end zone. And it seems like it's more going to be the tight ends that are making the plays for New England going forward. Hunter Henry has 13 catches for over 150 yards. Even Austin Hooper, 6 receptions for 76 yards on the year. They're both kind of the 1 and 2 options, it seems like, for the Patriots offense. That might be a bad thing. It might be a good thing going forward. If they're the security blanket for Drake Maye, that's great. But if those are the two guys that end up being the number one targets going forward, and I know there's Kayshon Boutte, I know there's Kyle Williams, I know there's Demario Douglas, but those guys haven't. Outside of Boutte getting a pretty good performance in week 1 against the Raiders, I don't think anybody on this team offensively has really stepped up in a game that's been with a good defense on the other side. I think last week's game against Miami is, even though they won 33-27 last week, I think it's a pretty good showcase that this team through the air is just not going to be how they win the game. At least not to the wide receivers. Last week was pretty much the same thing. Stephon Diggs, 4 receptions for 32 yards. Boutte had 1 catch for 16 yards. He did have the touchdown, but Demario Douglas, 1 catch for 8 yards. There's no Kyle Williams in that game. It was more Ramondre Stevenson and Austin Hooper that were the guys making plays in the passing game. And so I don't know how to feel about New England going forward. You look at their schedule, and next week they play Carolina at home. Carolina just blanked Atlanta today, 30-0. And a lot of that was due to their ability to force turnovers. So it's another game at home. It's a game that New England should win, but I feel like we've said that a couple of times already, and they've kind of laid an egg. Next week, I think, will be probably their get-back game. I don't see them losing to Carolina, even though Carolina had a really good game today. I just don't see it being I don't see this being a continuing issue for New England going forward. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, goes to Dublin next week. They play the first game of the overseas series, at least in the Europe area. We already had the Brazil game this year. And this will probably be a pretty interesting game. We saw Aaron Rodgers in London, I think, last year against the Vikings, and they tore the Jets apart when Aaron Rodgers was playing for them last year. I think there was a pick 6 from Andrew Van Ginkel. I think they got after Aaron Rodgers a lot in that game in the pass rush, and they beat up on the Jets pretty good. So I think Aaron Rodgers, this is going to be a game. Obviously, as a former Packer, this is almost like a rivalry game for Aaron Rodgers. And I'm hoping, because if Cincinnati is not going to be good this year, if Baltimore is not going to be able to beat the good teams, and even though Cleveland won today against Green Bay, I'm not expecting some Cinderella run. I think this AFC North, it could be Pittsburgh's to take, and it really sets up for an interesting matchup going forward when they're getting into more of their divisional games, like against Cincinnati in 3 weeks, or to end the season when they have the Ravens. It's definitely shaping up to be an interesting year in the AFC North. And I'm really excited to see if the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to get back into the conversation for the division championship. If you have your team that you want me to make a video about, share some thoughts, my opinions on, let me know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe. I'll probably be trying to get a video tomorrow, either late or early Tuesday morning, about the Detroit-Baltimore game, but there might be another video about maybe more like power ranking type stuff. You know, if you want to see something like that, power rankings or, you know, possible award winners through 3 weeks, I'm probably going to do it anyway, but if you want to see certain things, just let me know, and I'll try to make a video about it.